Afternoon. What a lovely day we have here in Austin. We have a special gift for all you lazy news watchers out there. Here on News UT, we have figured out why and how the Clean Air Act failed in one Congress but passed in another Congress. We have with us key players involved in the process to provide their perspectives on why the bill failed the first time but passed the next. Joining us are former Senate Majority Leader Robert Byrd and sponsor of the Clean Air Act in the House, Representative Waxman. Take it away, Wolf.
Senator Byrd, why did you not want the Clean Air Act passed?
The Clean Air Act of 1987 would have been too harsh in the coal-producing states like my state of West Virginia. We would have lost a lot of jobs, and I'm not going to let that happen, so I used my power as Majority Leader to prevent it from hitting the floor. And of course, since I am a congressman, I am a single-minded seeker of re-election, so I have to appeal to my constituents. Even though I was able to compromise with Senator Mitchell, Senator Simpson vowed to filibuster the compromise.
Now, what do you mean by a filibuster? Why did this prevent you from bringing it to the floor?
Well, 60 votes are required to invoke cloture and end a filibuster. Since this bill encompassed varying interests, invoking cloture would have been too difficult, so it was just more advantageous to just kill it and not call it to the Senate floor from the legislative calendar.
And what about you, Congressman Waxman? Why did your bill fail in the House?
My bill failed due to the auto industry pressure. The lobbyists believed that our bill would have been too restrictive and rallied some members against it. For example, they helped convince Chairman Dingell of the Energy Committee that the bill would have hurt the auto industry. Eventually, the committee tried to water down the bill with amendments during the markup process and did not report the full bill. However, I believe I could pass a better bill, the next version of
Now that we've discussed the failure of the Clean Air Act in the 100th Congress, we'll be sitting down with the key players who were instrumental to its passage during the 101st Congress: former President George Bush, former Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell, former Senator Max Baucus, former Representative John Dingell, and former President of the Sierra Club Richard Salarius.
President George Bush Sr., what was your role in the Clean Air Act?
Although I was Republican and Democrats controlled Congress, I managed to forge a bipartisan deal with the leaders of the opposition party in Congress and signed the bill into law.
Senator Mitchell, how did you get the Senate to pass into the Clean Air Act?
While I served in the 100th Congress, the bill was constantly shut down. Additionally, I was Senate Majority Leader this time around, which allowed me to place the bill at the top of the Senate's legislative calendar. The bill quickly moved through the Environment Committee. It was then redirected towards the Group of 15, a bipartisan coalition that wrote a compromise bill which bridged the gap between the Senate and White House versions of the bill, which respectively championed environmentalist and business stances. The broad reach of the compromise made it difficult to amend.
Did you face any obstacles whenever attempting to hash out a compromise with your House colleagues?
Although there were minor disagreements in conference committee, the Senate conferees adopted the House's language on the bill's largest provision concerning urban smog. The House version was more stringent with regard to small business emitters, which was at odds with the Bush administration's pro-business goals. However, the president gave us the green light to adopt the measures. Afterwards, the conference committee report was sent to the full chambers of the House and Senate, where it passed, was sent to the president's desk, and then signed into law.
President of the Sierra Club, Richard Salarius, what was your organization's role in the passage of the Clean Air Act?
We played a crucial role in passing it. We prefer indirect lobbying over direct because we believe that constituents hold more sway over their members of Congress than we do through direct pressure. Although the automobile industry put up a decent fight, the environmentalists won the most line items on the final bill that became law.
And Senator Baucus, Washington, D.C. seems to be characterized by gridlock. As the sponsor of this bill, how were you able to maneuver it through this gridlock?
That's a common misconception. Although gridlock is common, it's not constant. During the 101st Congress and the Senate, Democrats had 55 seats, Republicans had 45. President Bush was a Republican. For the Democrats to override the presidential veto, it would have needed the 12th most liberal Republican, known as the veto pivot. For the Republicans to invoke cloture, they would have to need the 15th most conservative Democrat, known as the filibuster pivot. However, the final bill passed 89-10-1. The gridlock region exists in that area between the veto pivot and the filibuster pivot. Luckily, this bill was supported by a supermajority coalition and the president.
Representative Waxman, you failed to pass this legislation that passed. What was different about Representative Dingell's proposal?
I worked with Representative Dingell to create a compromise that effectively integrated the California standards on emissions nationwide. The second round, however, will be a lot less strict due to Dingell's position that the bill should stretch out the compliant states. And after the year 2000, the bill will allow for less stringent regulations. I had to agree to these terms in order to get the bill through the House.
Although the bill did not pass the 100th Congress, the bill gained new momentum in 1989 when newly inaugurated President George H.W. Bush announced his support for amending the Clean Air Act of 1970. In the House, environmentalists and those opposed to strict regulations managed to make a compromise early on in the process and held on to it all the way from committee hearings through conference. In the Senate, the environmentally friendly George Mitchell replaced staunch coal industry proponent Robert Byrd as the Senate Majority Leader, which gave the bill newfound momentum. Thanks for watching NUT. Stay curious, ye faithful learners of Congress.